It's thunderstorming outside my studio, so if you hear any weird rumbles or anything, it's not my stomach, it's a T-storm. Hey YouTube, it's Robert Hall, and in today's video we're going to talk about the worst 5 photography purchases I ever made. My channel is sponsored by Adorama, which buys me the time to create these type of videos where I gripe about random things that don't actually motivate anybody to buy a product. So if you end up being interested in purchasing any of these products that I absolutely slam, then you can find those links in the description below. No, really, all my gear that I am absolutely happy with is on my kit.com link, which will send you to Adorama, and if you're interested in any of that, there you can support Adorama. So I was talking to a friend the other day, and he mentioned a product that he recently bought being the worst thing he ever purchased. And while I know he was just speaking with hyperbole, it got me thinking, what were the worst products that I ever purchased as a photographer? Before I start mentioning these products, I want to emphasize that I'm not particularly slamming these products. These products may serve somebody else better than I, but what I am trying to emphasize is the lesson or the reason behind each of these purchases and why I failed to recognize that they weren't the right purchase for me. And if you can recognize in advance that you don't actually need something, well, then I feel like I've done a good job. So, number 4, I actually have it right back here. This is the Wacom Intuos Photo. And the reason it's here at all and not at my home studio is because I absolutely hate it. Now, let me qualify this a little bit. I like Wacom products. At home, I have the Intuos Pro Medium, which is a much larger tablet and was the primary reason that I ended up looking at this one. It makes retouching way simpler. I'm left-handed, so for me, retouching with a mouse to try and create natural brush movements just doesn't work. I need something to be in my left hand, and for some reason, I can't train this stupid hand to function with a mouse. So for years, I've gone up the different levels of Wacom products and ultimately landed on the Wacom Intuos Pro, but it takes up so much space on my desk that I'll actually disconnect it and set it off to the side. And then every time I want to use it, it's kind of a chore. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the only reason that I was looking for a different solution and ended up purchasing this Wacom Intuos, which in retrospect, throughout this whole video, this will be a theme, is really, really stupid because I was already satisfied with what I was using. So now this Wacom is sitting in my secondary computer setup at my studio, and really, I don't even know that I'll ever plug it in again because I'm so dissatisfied with how this thing functions, primarily because of the pen that works with it. This is the real reason that I hate the Wacom Intuos Photo, is because of this pen. This pen is too skinny, this pen is too slick, it doesn't have any rubber texturized pattern, and one thing that I thought is that the regular pen for the Intuos Pro would just work. I thought, it's the same nib, I'll just use that one if I don't like this different pen. But it doesn't. For whatever reason, it doesn't work, it's not functional. You have to use this pen, and to me, this pen is unusable. I don't even care. It's gone, fine. It can be gone. I hate it. But the moral of the story is, if you're satisfied with what you have, then there's no reason to seek a different solution. Number 3, a drone, specifically my DJI Mavic Pro. I think everybody's aware of the impact and the mania that drones have caused over the last, 5 to 6 years. How long ago did the DJI Phantom come out? Feels like it was only a very short while ago that it came out, but in that time there's just been smaller and smaller iterations while getting far more capable. And it's been a cool technology to follow, but I purchased the DJI Mavic, which was my first drone, 2 years ago at WPPI in Las Vegas. I was so excited. That first day that I bought it, I took it out, and I flew it in the desert, and it was amazing. I had all this cool aerial footage of mountains that really served no purpose other than, I guess, the personal satisfaction of seeing it. And then I sacrificed additional clothing on trips to Thailand just so I could keep it in my backpack. That was like 20% of what I carried in Thailand was just my DJI Mavic, the extra battery, and the extra remote. It took up so much space in my backpack, and I really got nothing out of it other than a few clips of waterfalls that I could probably look up online. And ultimately, my experience with the drone ended after I used it for a full week up north, capturing all these really nice vistas of autumn color in Michigan, and I was really excited about that footage. I again don't know what I was going to do with it, but it was always something I wanted to experience, is seeing the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is really beautiful, really natural, full of lush forests and waterfalls and everything. I always wanted to see that in really rich autumn color, and to take my drone along with me and capture all that felt amazing at the time, but ultimately ended when my drone just got carried away by the wind. And I'll be honest, it was completely my fault. I took it too far out. I was inexperienced in flying it over water, and the potential that winds could modify my drone's path. There was so many things wrong with my decision to actually take it out, but I ultimately lost all that footage that I got up there. I'm not really mad about losing the footage because I still got the experience, which was what I was chasing the entire time. But I am bitter about spending $1,000 or $1,200, whatever I spent on the drone when it originally came out, to ultimately lose it at the bottom of a lake. And the whole reason that I bought a drone in the first place was simply because it was status quo to like get a drone. It was really early when I was posting on YouTube and I was looking at everybody else's content online. They all had these sweeping drone movements of B-roll that I thought really upped the production value. But ultimately now, I think drone footage added to anything like I do is extremely hollow. It just serves zero purpose. And you could call my reason for purchasing a drone GAS. That's gear acquisition syndrome, where the only thing you want to do is have more gear to play with or use or put to work, whatever the case, and you don't really think about what you're going to do with that product. So if you're ever just really getting that itch and you can't really justify why you need the product, then take a minute, relax, and really rethink your purchase before you hit that buy button. Number 2, the second worst purchase that I ever made was a Synology DS4 NAS. Now, I realize this isn't a camera, this isn't a lens, a light, it's not even a drone. It says very little to do with cameras, but if you're a working photographer, then you know storage is really important. For those that don't know, NAS stands for Network Attached Storage. It is a grouping of hard drives that have some form of redundancy to protect your files in case there is a hard drive failure. And this set of drives can also connect to your router to allow for wireless distribution of your images either on a network or in some cases externally, wherever any computer is in the world. And I wanted that. I wanted that ability to open up my laptop in the middle of Georgia at some rest area Wi-Fi and get that image that a bride is talking about where her grandfather blinked in a portrait. I don't know why I wanted that, but I wanted it. I wanted that type of access to my photos because I thought that it would at some point be really necessary. And I haven't done that once since I've owned it. I converted all my old RAW files to DNG just so I could get it all on one device. I had to change so many things. I spent months adjusting my workflow just to accommodate this new NAS, this new form of storage. I have not realized the benefit of having it once. You see, the negative of a NAS is that you're limited to accessing those files by the speed at which it can communicate with the router. So even in your own home, when you're trying to access your files wirelessly on the NAS, you're limited to whatever the download speed is, but I highly doubt that your download speed is anywhere near the speed of transferring to a hard drive. And if you're outside of your network, if you're trying to access it from somewhere else, like that rest stop in Georgia, you're limited to the speed of that internet connection. NASs are still greatly limited by the speed of access to the internet, which for 99% of people will be far slower than just transferring things between hard drives. And what would have worked far better for me is to just have some group of hard drives acting as a RAID. That way I still realize that redundancy benefit without having all that extra network nonsense, and I could access these files way faster and again probably never even realized that I couldn't access them when I was working remote. And that purchase all came down to poor research. I didn't know really clearly about the limitations of network storage. I didn't know that the only way I'd be able to access them, I didn't know that the speed at which I'd be able to access these files would be so limited by the internet, because it was kind of outside my knowledge of and understanding of those devices at the time. So if you ever find yourself stepping out and purchasing something, make sure to get a second opinion and really talk to somebody who understands that type of equipment before you go ahead and make the purchase. Otherwise, you might end up with something that is completely unnecessary for your workflow. All right, now we're going to flip the script. That's a good instance where I spent way more money than I needed to. Now we're going to talk about when I spent way less money than I needed to. Let's go back maybe 5-6 years to when I was still using the neck strap, which getting away from the neck strap is one of the best decisions that you could make as a photographer. But at the time, the primary sling style strap that connected to the bottom of your camera and relieved your neck of that neck strap burden, the Black Rapid was like the only thing out there. I don't know if Holdfast was around yet, but I definitely didn't have Holdfast money, and nobody else was really creating that type of camera strap, except some cheap Chinese alternatives. Enter the Quick Strap, which was a thin neoprene strap that was almost the identical design in terms of the camera strap as the Black Rapid, but it had a little bit different of a base that was extremely cheap looking. But I didn't have Black Rapid money, but I needed that sling style strap. So I ended up purchasing that Quick Strap. In total, I think the Quick Strap was around $20-25, and the OG Black Rapid was somewhere right over $100. So talking about a savings of $80 right there, I came out pretty well. Well, that was until that Quick Strap completely broke. Not just the plate. I'm not talking about the plate here. The strap itself broke and let one of my cameras fall directly onto the face of the lens, cracking the front element of the lens, which also would have cost more to repair than the lens was valued at. So in that instance, cheaping out and getting the really scuzzy third-party alternative to a really well-established product ended up costing me a lot more money than just investing in the product that everybody was raving about already. So if you ever find yourself really looking at a cheaper alternative to an otherwise popular product, then you should really find out if other people have had a great experience with it before you make that purchase. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on the 4 worst camera purchases I ever made. It's a completely different style of video, but hopefully you can draw a lesson from some of my experiences. Please, in the comments below, tell me what the worst product that you ever bought was and why. And hopefully that can be a guide for other people in terms of what they shouldn't buy. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos, and until next time, keep on shooting.